When it comes to living a peaceful and purposeful life, one thing can sabotage all your efforts faster than you'd think: the people around you who drain your energy, muddy your thoughts, and make you question yourself. We all know them, those people who can turn a good day into a mess of self-doubt and frustration. They're everywhere, sometimes even close to us: friends, colleagues, relatives, people who seem to bring nothing but conflict, confusion, and negativity into our lives. But here's the truth: learning to protect your inner peace is not just a luxury, it's essential. Imagine walking through your day with unshakable calm, not easily pulled into petty drama or manipulated by subtle guilt trips. It's not about cutting everyone off or building emotional walls. It's about learning to guard your energy, recognize destructive patterns, and focus on what truly matters. You don't need to live as a prisoner to other people's chaos. Stoicism offers us a timeless toolkit for dealing with these types of challenges, from handling the minor annoyances to navigating the deeper toxicity that can lurk in relationships. With just a few powerful habits, you can reclaim control over your emotions, keep your mind clear, and transform the way you respond to toxic situations. Let's face it, life can throw enough at us as it is, from stress at work to personal struggles, so why let others make it even harder? Think about how many hours are lost replaying a snide comment in your head, or feeling worn out after dealing with someone who always seems to need saving, but never learns or grows. This drain on our energy might not seem like much in the moment, but it builds up, taking away from our potential, our happiness, and even our physical health. The wisdom we can gain from Stoicism is profound. Stoics, from Marcus Aurelius to Epictetus, taught that we can't control what others do, but we can control our reactions. Toxic people thrive on provoking reactions, drawing out anger, guilt, or even a sense of responsibility. Stoicism teaches us to detach, to see that we don't need to react to every insult or demand, and to make a conscious choice about how we spend our emotional energy. Now, that's not to say protecting yourself means being passive. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful actions you can take. Too often, we feel that boundaries are selfish or unkind, especially with people close to us. But in reality, boundaries are an act of respect, both for yourself and for others. They help keep relationships balanced, keeping you from being overwhelmed and allowing you to decide how much of yourself you're willing to give. Boundaries are like a protective fence around your peace, keeping harmful behavior at bay. For anyone who's struggled with saying no, who's felt guilted into helping even when exhausted, or who's held back from speaking up because it felt easier, know this: Stoicism teaches us that we're not responsible for others' emotional reactions. Saying no without guilt isn't a flaw, it's an empowering choice. You're giving yourself permission to prioritize your well-being over endless demands, reclaiming time and energy to focus on what genuinely fulfills you. It's also about mastering the art of non-reactivity. Some people have an uncanny ability to push buttons, to say the exact thing that makes us see red, and before we know it, we're caught in a whirlwind of anger or frustration. Here's where the Stoic wisdom of non-reactivity becomes invaluable. When you refuse to give an emotional response, you take away their power. You don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you upset or rattled. The best part? This doesn't just protect you from them. It also builds your emotional strength, allowing you to stay calm and unbothered, no matter what others try to throw at you. In a world filled with quick judgments, we're often nudged to take everything personally, to see each remark or behavior as a reflection on us. But Stoicism flips this perspective. It shows us that what people say and do reflects their own struggles, insecurities, and limitations. You might know someone who constantly criticizes, who picks at every detail, or who downplays your achievements. In the past, you may have let their words sting, affecting your self-esteem. But by stepping back and recognizing that their behavior has more to do with them than with you, you'll start to see things differently. Suddenly, their criticism loses its power. You're no longer the target. They're the ones fighting their own battles, and you just happen to be in the way. Detaching emotionally from toxic behavior allows you to reclaim your own peace. It frees you from the trap of self-blame, from the harmful belief that you must be doing something wrong if others are unhappy with you. Sometimes, a person's disapproval has nothing to do with you. It's simply their own dissatisfaction, their unmet needs or frustrations manifesting outwardly. And that's where cognitive reframing comes in. Instead of letting toxic behavior define your mood or self-worth, you start to view it through a lens of calm objectivity. You see their behavior as data, information about them, not a reflection of you. It's also about minimizing exposure. Some people are fixtures in our lives, people we can't simply avoid, whether it's due to family ties or workplace proximity. But that doesn't mean we need to give them unlimited access to our minds and emotions. Setting limits on how much time and energy we allow them to occupy is crucial. When you stop engaging deeply with those who habitually bring negativity, you create space for positivity and growth. By strategically reducing the time spent around such people, you protect your mental clarity, your energy, and your sense of self. It's not an act of avoidance, it's an act of self-care. And speaking of self-care, one of the most underrated ways to shield yourself from toxic people is to build resilience through self-care routines. Self-care isn't selfish. It's what enables you to approach life and difficult people with strength and composure. When you're physically and emotionally well, the antics of others don't shake you as easily. A balanced life, one filled with activities that nourish your mind and body, becomes a fortress, a source of inner strength that others cannot easily penetrate. Stoicism also teaches us the art of the grey rock method, becoming uninteresting, blending in, making it clear that there's no reaction here for the taking. Toxic people often thrive on drama. They enjoy the excitement of pushing others to react. But by remaining neutral, by showing as little interest or emotion as possible, you take away their fuel. Soon enough, they'll move on, realizing that there's nothing here for them to work with. Learning to protect your peace, energy, and focus isn't about distancing yourself from everyone. It's about being selective and wise. It's about recognizing that not every relationship is worth the cost, that some people, however close, will drain you if given the chance. Protecting yourself is not only a form of self-respect, it's a choice to build a life filled with people and experiences that add value, joy, and meaning. At the end of the day, your happiness, your peace, and your mental clarity matter. Stoicism shows us that while we may not control others' actions, we have a profound ability to shape our own responses. We can choose what we allow in and, perhaps more importantly, what we keep out. When you understand that this is possible, you start to see toxic behavior differently, not as something that drags you down, but as something that you can sidestep, deflect, or calmly reject. The journey to protecting yourself from toxic people is about building resilience, setting limits, and remembering that you are your own best advocate. It's about respecting your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being enough to let go of what harms you. By learning to stay grounded in the face of negativity, to build your life around what brings you strength and joy, you'll find that you're no longer vulnerable to the toxicity of others. Instead, you're empowered, steady, and able to live on your own terms. And that is a victory that no toxic person can ever take away. As we dive into the heart of what it means to protect your peace, the first essential step is recognizing when someone's behavior crosses the line from normal interaction to something more controlling, manipulative, or subtly harmful. Often, the influence of toxic individuals is not blatantly obvious, which is exactly why it's so insidious. Manipulative behavior doesn't always show up as a clear, direct offense. Sometimes it's the small, repeated actions, the ones that seem too trivial to address at first, that end up taking a toll on your self-esteem, independence, and emotional well-being. These behaviors may appear harmless or even disguised as concern, but they're not. They chip away at your confidence, cloud your judgment, and leave you feeling confused, off balance, or questioning your own reality. The Stoics understood the power of self-awareness and emotional independence as the foundation of inner peace. They taught that by understanding our minds, we can protect ourselves from subtle manipulations that distort our sense of reality. In the same way, recognizing manipulative behavior requires a keen awareness of the tactics toxic individuals use to gain control or influence over others. There's no need for immediate suspicion of everyone around you, but there is wisdom in knowing the signs, the indicators that suggest you may be dealing with someone who has less than honest intentions. Let's explore these signs in detail so you can approach each interaction with clarity, strength, and the understanding that your emotional well-being is in your hands. One common tactic of manipulation is something called gaslighting. Gaslighting is when someone repeatedly causes you to question your own reality or perceptions, subtly convincing you that your thoughts, feelings, or even your memories are unreliable. Gaslighting often starts small, with the manipulator contradicting your experience in ways that don't seem significant at first. They might tell you that a conversation or event didn't happen the way you remember, or that your reaction to something is over the top. Over time, these minor dismissals accumulate, leading you to doubt your own perspective. If left unchecked, gaslighting can leave you feeling constantly confused, unsure of yourself, and dependent on the manipulator's version of events. This technique is particularly dangerous because it attacks your perception of reality. To combat gaslighting, it's crucial to stay grounded in your own experiences and trust your intuition. Practicing journaling or discussing your experiences with trusted friends can be helpful, as they allow you to maintain clarity and confidence in your own perceptions. When you begin to sense that someone is frequently dismissing or minimizing your experiences, take a step back and assess the relationship objectively. Trusting your inner voice is one of the strongest defenses against this form of manipulation. Another tactic to watch out for is triangulation. This is when a manipulative person brings a third party into the dynamic to control or destabilize the relationship. For instance, they might constantly reference the opinions or actions of another person to make you feel inferior or to pit people against each other. Triangulation creates a sense of competition, insecurity, and mistrust, all of which work to weaken your self-esteem and make you feel more dependent on the manipulator for reassurance or approval. The best way to counteract triangulation is to stay focused on direct communication. Avoid being drawn into comparisons with others or feeling pressured to prove your worth or abilities. By refusing to engage in competition for the manipulator's approval, you protect your self-worth and maintain a balanced perspective on your own value. Manipulative people also often use guilt as a tool for control. They may play the victim or exaggerate their difficulties to make you feel responsible for their happiness, needs, or well-being. This tactic can be especially effective on compassionate people who naturally want to help. Over time, however, the constant feeling of being responsible for someone else's happiness can become exhausting and overwhelming. When you notice someone using guilt to keep you involved or invested in their issues, recognize that their emotions are their responsibility, not yours. Setting clear emotional boundaries and understanding that you are not obligated to carry another person's burdens is essential. When you start feeling guilty, Ask yourself if the situation truly calls for that emotion. Often, manipulators will exaggerate their distress or downplay your own needs, pushing you to sacrifice your well-being for their comfort. By staying aware of these tendencies, you can protect your peace and prevent guilt from dictating your decisions. Another subtle yet powerful manipulative tactic is creating a scarcity mindset. Toxic people might make you feel as though their approval, love, or attention is a limited resource you have to earn or maintain carefully. This often happens when they alternate between moments of warmth and kindness and coldness or indifference, keeping you constantly on edge and striving to win back their affection. This tactic keeps you in a state of insecurity, leading you to seek their validation rather than focusing on your own self-worth. To break free from this cycle, recognize that genuine relationships do not require you to constantly earn someone's approval or affection. True friends and supportive family members provide stability, not a sense of scarcity. By understanding this, you can detach from people who keep you anxious and uncertain and instead build relationships based on mutual respect and trust. Projection is another tactic that manipulators often employ. This is when someone attributes their own negative traits or behaviors to you, accusing you of the very actions or flaws they possess. For instance, a person who is frequently dishonest might accuse you of lying or keeping secrets, or someone who is emotionally volatile might criticize you for being too sensitive. Projection serves to deflect responsibility and shift the focus away from the manipulator's behavior. It creates confusion, making you question whether you're the problem. When faced with projection, it's important to remain confident in your own character and actions. Resist the urge to internalize these accusations. Instead, consider whether the behavior they're accusing you of is actually theirs. Remind yourself that their words reflect their issues, not yours. By staying grounded in your sense of self, you can avoid falling into the trap of self-doubt that projection often creates. Another method manipulators use is selective kindness or generosity, a tactic that can be as confusing as it is deceptive. Toxic people may alternate between being incredibly generous, supportive, or affectionate, and withdrawing their warmth at seemingly random times. This hot and cold behavior can keep you guessing, creating a false sense of security that makes you more willing to overlook their negative behavior. The kindness acts as a bait, drawing you in just enough to keep you entangled in the relationship. However, it's important to see through this inconsistency and recognize it as a way to control your emotions. To counter this tactic, remember that genuine kindness is consistent and doesn't come with strings attached. People who care about you will not make you feel that their warmth is something you have to earn through compliance or concession. By recognizing and acknowledging these patterns, you can decide not to rely on such conditional kindness for your sense of security or self-worth. Silent treatment or stonewalling is another form of manipulation used to exert control by refusing communication. This tactic involves cutting off dialogue, ignoring messages, or avoiding conversations as a way to punish or manipulate. Silent treatment is emotionally painful because it leaves you feeling helpless, unable to resolve the situation or explain your side. It's also a tactic that creates dependency, as you're left waiting for the manipulator to decide when the punishment is over. Understanding that silent treatment is a form of manipulation helps lessen its impact. Recognize that this behavior is a tactic meant to control, not a reflection of your worth or a true resolution to any problem. Instead of trying to win back the manipulator's attention, shift your focus to maintaining your self-respect and emotional independence. Another sign of manipulative behavior is feigned ignorance or playing dumb. toxic people sometimes pretend not to understand or remember things that matter to you, acting as though your needs or expectations are unreasonable or confusing. This tactic can make you feel guilty for having boundaries or expectations, causing you to doubt the validity of your own desires. They might forget plans or commitments or act oblivious when you call out their hurtful behavior, making it seem as though you're the one who's too demanding or critical. The way to counter this tactic is by standing firm in your expectations and boundaries. Don't feel compelled to lower your standards or apologize for your needs. Remember, people who value you will take your needs seriously and respect your boundaries without making you feel unreasonable. By holding steady to your expectations, you signal that you won't be manipulated into feeling lesser or doubting yourself. Manipulative people often employ what's known as future faking. This is when they make grand promises about future plans, commitments, or changes they never intend to follow through on. They might talk about how things will get better or make promises that lead you to believe things will improve, only for those promises to be forgotten once they've gotten what they want. Future faking creates a false hope that keeps you invested, hoping that someday things will change. By recognizing this tactic, you can avoid getting caught in endless cycles of broken promises. Pay attention to whether someone's words match their actions over time. True change and commitment are consistent, not based on empty promises. Trust actions over words, and understand that if someone repeatedly disappoints you, it's likely that their promises are manipulative rather than sincere. Emotional blackmail is a common technique used by manipulators to control others by instilling fear, obligation, or guilt. They may threaten to harm themselves, withdraw love, or end the relationship if you don't comply with their wishes. This form of manipulation is particularly damaging because it plays on your compassion, forcing you to choose between your well-being and their demands. Remember that true, healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not fear or coercion. You are not responsible for managing another person's emotions or preventing them from facing the consequences of their actions. Recognize that emotional blackmail is a tactic to keep you controlled, not a true reflection of love or care. Each of these signs points to ways that toxic people subtly erode your self-worth, confidence, and independence. By recognizing these behaviors and understanding the tactics manipulators use, you can protect yourself, stay grounded in your values, and build relationships based on respect and genuine care. This awareness becomes your armor, allowing you to see through the illusions toxic people create and to protect the peace you've worked so hard to cultivate. As we deepen our understanding of the ways toxic behaviors subtly affect us, it's essential to look closely at those actions that may not seem harmful on the surface, but gradually drain our energy and wear down our self-worth. Sometimes, it's not the obvious clashes or conflicts that impact us the most. It's the more subtle behaviors, the kind that slowly erode confidence, leaving us feeling depleted and questioning our own value. Recognizing these behaviors is crucial for anyone who wants to protect their inner peace and ensure that their self-esteem remains intact despite the presence of negative influences. One of the most common yet easily overlooked behaviors is backhanded compliments. This is when someone appears to compliment you but manages to slip in a subtle dig or a slight criticism within the praise. It may sound like, "You look nice today, I wish you'd put in the effort more often," or "You did a great job, for once." These statements are meant to undermine your confidence under the guise of a compliment, creating confusion and making you second-guess your worth. When someone consistently delivers backhanded compliments, it can leave you feeling unappreciated, causing doubt and insecurity. Over time, you might even find yourself adjusting your behavior to earn their genuine approval, a mental trap that drains energy and subtly shifts your self-perception. Recognize that real compliments lift you up without any hidden digs, and remind yourself that your worth does not hinge on anyone's approval. Another subtle behavior that saps energy and undermines self-worth is constant interrupting. While it may seem minor, interrupting is more than just a bad habit. It's often a way for people to assert dominance and control in conversations. When someone repeatedly interrupts, they're essentially saying, "What I have to say is more important than what you're saying." This not only diminishes the value of your words, but also affects your confidence in expressing yourself. Over time, frequent interruptions can make you feel unheard, leading you to question the relevance or importance of your thoughts. Interrupting might not always be malicious, but it's vital to notice how often it happens and how it impacts you. If you find yourself in this dynamic, remind yourself that your voice deserves to be heard and practice reasserting your space in conversations with calm confidence. Another energy-draining behavior is passive aggressiveness. Instead of expressing feelings openly, a passive-aggressive person will indirectly convey their displeasure, often leaving you feeling uncertain or at fault without knowing exactly why. For instance, if someone is upset, rather than addressing it, they might act distant, give you the silent treatment, or make ambiguous remarks that are hard to interpret. This can leave you feeling tense, constantly analyzing interactions and wondering what went wrong. Passive aggressiveness keeps you emotionally on edge, gradually chipping away at your peace and self-assurance. To counter this, acknowledge that passive-aggressive behavior is a reflection of the other person's inability to communicate directly. Don't get pulled into their unspoken conflicts. Instead, address issues openly, or, if they're unwilling to do so, step back to protect your peace. Micro-criticisms are another sneaky behavior that can subtly undermine your self-worth. These are tiny, persistent criticisms that focus on trivial aspects of your behavior or appearance. It could be as minor as commenting on how you pronounce a word, nitpicking your choice of clothing, or pointing out your mannerisms. Micro-criticisms often go unnoticed at first, but over time they accumulate, creating a sense of inadequacy. The repeated act of being scrutinized for small details can lead you to feel overly self-conscious, making you question your actions even when there's no real fault. In the long run, this constant critique can erode your confidence. Counter micro-criticisms by recognizing them as attempts to exert control and remind yourself that these comments are not reflective of your worth. Build resilience by staying focused on your values and resisting the urge to adjust yourself for minor criticisms that serve no constructive purpose. Another behavior that may subtly drain your energy is the humble brag. This is when someone subtly brags about themselves under the pretense of modesty or humility, like saying, "I'm so exhausted from working non-stop. Everyone just relies on me." The humble brag might seem harmless, but it often serves to establish superiority, subtly positioning the person as indispensable or more capable. Repeated exposure to this behavior can make you feel lesser or inadequate by comparison, leaving you with an underlying sense of inferiority. Over time, the humble brag can lead you to doubt your own accomplishments, as you're constantly confronted with someone else's subtle boasts. Recognize that humble bragging often reflects a need for validation rather than a true measure of worth. Don't let it diminish your own self-assurance. Focus on your unique strengths without needing to compare them to anyone else's experiences. Subtle exclusion is another tactic that can harm your self-esteem. This behavior shows up when someone deliberately leaves you out of conversations, plans, or activities in a way that feels almost unnoticeable at first. It might involve making inside jokes you're not privy to, or arranging plans in your presence but excluding you from the invite. Subtle exclusion works on a psychological level, making you question whether you're valued or appreciated within a group. This gradual isolation creates an atmosphere where you feel like an outsider, even if you're physically present. Over time, it can erode your confidence and make you feel invisible. If you find yourself in this situation, remember that your value doesn't depend on being included in every plan or It's important to make the decision to step away, prioritizing your own emotional health and peace. After grappling with the emotional distance of someone unavailable, you may begin to recognize how draining and frustrating it is to be in relationships where your feelings are not reciprocated. This realization can lead to deeper self-reflection on other areas of life, including your goals and aspirations. Pursuing your ambitions requires focus, encouragement, and unwavering belief in yourself. However, when someone consistently undermines your dreams or discourages your efforts, it can feel like you're constantly fighting uphill. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of pursuing personal growth with intention, but when someone dismisses your goals, whether intentionally or unintentionally, they become an obstacle in your journey. It's crucial to identify when this is happening and, if necessary, walk away to protect your vision and ambition. When someone undermines your goals, it often starts subtly. They may casually dismiss your plans, laugh at your aspirations, or express doubt in your ability to achieve what you're striving for. Over time, these small comments accumulate, leaving you questioning your own potential. The more they express their doubt, the more you may start to internalize their negativity, believing that perhaps they're right. This doubt seeps into your confidence, weakening the very foundation upon which your goals rest. Stoicism teaches that we must focus on our own growth and purpose, regardless of external influences. However, when someone close to you consistently undercuts your ambitions, their negativity can begin to affect your mindset. Instead of feeling empowered to pursue your dreams, you may find yourself hesitating, second-guessing whether your goals are even worth pursuing. This is a dangerous space to be in, as self-doubt can paralyze your progress before it even begins. People who undermine your goals often project their own insecurities onto you. They may feel threatened by your ambition or uncomfortable with the idea of you outgrowing them. Rather than supporting your growth, they attempt to hold you back, either consciously or unconsciously, by questioning your choices or downplaying the significance of your aspirations. This behavior is often rooted in their own fear of being left behind, but it's important to recognize that their fear should not dictate your path. One of the clearest signs that someone is undermining your goals is when they constantly try to redirect your focus. Instead of encouraging you to pursue what lights you up, they may suggest alternative paths that are more in line with their own comfort zone. They might say things like, "Are you sure that's realistic?" or "Wouldn't it be easier if you just did this instead?" While these comments may seem well-meaning on the surface, they are attempts to steer you away from your vision and toward a safer, more conventional route. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of staying true to your purpose, even when others don't understand or support it. Your goals are a reflection of your values, your passions, and your potential. When someone undermines those goals, they are not just questioning your ambitions, they are questioning your worth. Over time, this can erode your sense of self, making it difficult to stay motivated and focused on your journey. In relationships where your goals are undermined, you may start to feel isolated in your ambitions. Instead of receiving the support and encouragement you need to pursue your dreams, you're met with resistance or indifference. This isolation can be incredibly discouraging, as it leaves you feeling like you're pursuing your goals alone, without the backing of those who are supposed to care about your success. Stoicism teaches that while external support is valuable, your inner drive is what matters most. You must be your own strongest advocate. People who undermine your goals may also use subtle tactics to make you doubt your choices. They might express concern about the risks involved in your pursuit or emphasize the challenges ahead, framing their negativity as realism. While it's important to be aware of potential obstacles, there's a difference between constructive advice and discouragement. Those who truly support your growth will acknowledge the challenges while still encouraging you to push forward. When someone consistently undermines your goals, it can create a toxic dynamic where you feel like you have to constantly defend your dreams. This defensiveness can drain your energy and shift your focus away from the work that actually matters. Instead of spending your time and effort pursuing your aspirations, you're caught in a cycle of trying to justify them to someone who doesn't believe in you. Stoicism teaches that your energy is precious, and it's better spent on actions that align with your purpose, not on convincing others of your worth. One of the most damaging effects of having your goals undermined is the gradual erosion of your confidence. When someone consistently questions your abilities or downplays your achievements, it can lead to self-doubt. You may start to believe that your goals are too lofty, that you're not capable of achieving them, or that it's not worth the effort. This doubt can be paralyzing, preventing you from taking the necessary steps to move forward. Stoicism reminds us that external opinions should not dictate our internal resolve. However, when someone close to you constantly undermines your goals, their negativity can be hard to shake. It's important to recognize when their influence is beginning to affect your mindset and to take steps to distance yourself from their discouragement. Your goals deserve to be nurtured, not diminished by the doubts of others. People who undermine your goals often have a fixed mindset. They believe that success is limited and that certain dreams are out of reach. This mindset not only limits their own potential, but also influences how they view your ambitions. They may not understand your vision because they cannot see beyond their own limitations. But Stoicism teaches that growth comes from embracing challenges and pushing beyond perceived limits. Just because someone else can't see your potential doesn't mean it's not there. In relationships where your goals are constantly undermined, it's common to feel unsupported. Instead of being uplifted by those around you, you're weighed down by their negativity. This lack of support can be incredibly discouraging, especially when you're working towards something that requires courage and perseverance. Over time, this environment of negativity can erode your motivation, making it harder to stay committed to your vision. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of pursuing your goals with clarity and determination, regardless of external obstacles. When someone consistently undermines your ambitions, they become an obstacle in your path. It's important to recognize that their negativity is not a reflection of your potential. It's a reflection of their own limitations. By distancing yourself from their influence, you create space to pursue your goals without the weight of their doubt. People who undermine your goals may also use passive-aggressive tactics to discourage you. They might make sarcastic comments, offer backhanded compliments, or subtly mock your efforts. These tactics are designed to chip away at your confidence without directly confronting you. Over time, this behavior can create a toxic atmosphere where you feel like your ambitions are being constantly ridiculed, even if it's done under the guise of humor. When someone undermines your goals, they are not just questioning your ambitions, they are questioning your vision for your life. This lack of belief in your potential can be incredibly hurtful, especially if it comes from someone you care about. Stoicism teaches that your vision is sacred and should be protected from those who seek to diminish it. Your goals are an expression of your purpose, and they deserve to be pursued with confidence and conviction. In relationships where your goals are undermined, you may start to feel like you're constantly seeking validation. Instead of trusting in your own vision, you find yourself looking for approval from someone who is unwilling to give it. This need for validation can be crippling, as it places your self-worth in the hands of someone who doesn't believe in you. Stoicism reminds us that our worth comes from within, and we must not rely on others to validate our dreams. One of the most important lessons from Stoicism is the idea that your purpose is yours alone to pursue. When someone undermines your goals, they are attempting to take away your agency over your own life. They may try to steer you in a different direction, one that aligns with their own comfort or expectations. But your path is your own to walk, and no one else has the right to dictate what your goals should be. When someone constantly undermines your goals, it's important to assess whether they truly have your best interests at heart. While they may claim to be looking out for you, their behavior suggests otherwise. True support comes from those who encourage you to grow, not from those who try to hold you back. Stoicism teaches that we must surround ourselves with people who uplift us, not those who sow doubt and discouragement. People who undermine your goals often do so because they are uncomfortable with change. They may fear that as you grow and succeed, the dynamic of your relationship will shift. Rather than celebrating your progress, they attempt to keep you in the same place where they feel safe and secure. But Stoicism teaches that growth is an essential part of life, and we must not allow others' fears to hold us back from pursuing our true potential. In relationships where your goals are undermined, you may start to feel a sense of stagnation. Instead of moving forward and making progress, you're constantly being pulled back by the weight of someone else's doubts. This stagnation can be incredibly frustrating, as it prevents you from achieving the growth and fulfillment that comes from pursuing your ambitions. Stoicism reminds us that we must always be moving forward, even when others try to hold us back. When someone consistently undermines your goals, it's important to set boundaries. You have the right to protect your vision and pursue your ambitions without interference from those who don't believe in you. Setting boundaries allows you to create a space where your goals can flourish, free from the negativity and doubt of others. Stoicism teaches that boundaries are essential for maintaining your focus and protecting your peace. In relationships where your goals are undermined, it's common to feel a sense of resentment. You may start to feel angry or frustrated with the person who is holding you back, even if their intentions are not malicious. This resentment can build over time, creating tension and conflict in the relationship. Stoicism reminds us that resentment is a sign that something needs to change. It's important to address the issue and, if necessary, distance yourself from those who are not supporting your growth. When someone undermines your goals, they are not just discouraging your ambitions, they are discouraging your potential for growth and self-improvement. This behavior can be incredibly damaging, as it creates a sense of limitation and self-doubt. But Stoicism teaches that we must not allow others to define our potential. Your goals are a reflection of your unique talents and passions, and they deserve to be pursued with confidence and determination. Ultimately, when someone consistently undermines your goals, it's a sign that the relationship is no longer serving your growth. Stoicism teaches that we must prioritize our own development and well-being, even if it means walking away from relationships that hold us back. By distancing yourself from those who discourage your progress, you create the space to pursue your goals with clarity, confidence, and conviction. As you step away from those who undermine your goals and ambitions, a new layer of clarity emerges. It becomes evident that not everyone in your life shares the same hunger for growth, and this disparity can create a rift in your journey towards self-improvement. Surrounding yourself with people who refuse to grow can stifle your own progress, leaving you feeling stuck, uninspired, and even resentful. Stoicism teaches that growth is essential to living a purposeful life, And when someone chooses to remain stagnant, their lack of development can negatively impact your trajectory. Recognizing when it's time to distance yourself from those who refuse to evolve is not only wise, but necessary for your own personal development. When someone refuses to grow, they often cling to the comfort of the familiar, resisting any form of change or improvement. This resistance to growth may not seem harmful at first, but over time it creates a pattern of stagnation that can seep into your own life. If you're surrounded by individuals who consistently choose complacency over self-improvement, their mindset may start to influence your own, holding you back from reaching your full potential. Stoicism encourages constant self-reflection and the pursuit of personal growth. However, when those around you are content with staying the same, it becomes difficult to maintain the momentum needed for your own development. The more you interact with people who refuse to grow, the more their stagnation becomes a barrier to your own progress. Their refusal to push themselves can create a limiting environment, one that stifles your ambition and creativity. People who refuse to grow often see challenges as threats rather than opportunities. They may shy away from anything that pushes them out of their comfort zone, preferring to stick to what's easy and familiar. This mindset not only limits their own potential, but can also affect how they view your ambitions. Instead of encouraging you to take risks and embrace new challenges, they may discourage your efforts, not out of malice, but out of fear of change. One of the most telling signs that someone refuses to grow is their resistance to feedback. They may bristle at constructive criticism, viewing it as an attack rather than an opportunity for self-improvement. This defensiveness makes it difficult to have honest conversations about growth, as they are unwilling to acknowledge their areas for improvement. Over time, this resistance can create a disconnect between you as you continue to evolve while they remain stuck in the same place. Stoicism teaches that growth is a lifelong process, one that requires continuous effort and reflection. However, those who refuse to grow often view self-improvement as unnecessary or burdensome. They may dismiss the importance of learning new skills, gaining new perspectives, or challenging their own beliefs. This unwillingness to evolve not only limits their own potential, but can also create tension in relationships as you find yourself outgrowing the connection. In relationships where one person is committed to growth and the other is not, a sense of imbalance often arises. You may start to feel like you're moving forward while the other person remains stagnant, creating a gap in your connection. This gap can be frustrating as it leaves you feeling unsupported in your own journey. Over time, this imbalance can lead to resentment as you realize that the relationship is no longer aligned with your values or goals. People who refuse to grow often cling to outdated beliefs or habits, unwilling to adapt to new ideas or ways of thinking. This rigidity can create a stagnant atmosphere where innovation and progress are stifled. Instead of being in an environment that fosters creativity and growth, you find yourself surrounded by people who are stuck in the past, resistant to change. This lack of evolution can be suffocating, making it difficult for you to continue expanding your own horizons. When someone refuses to grow, they may also resist taking responsibility for their own life. Instead of seeking ways to improve themselves or their circumstances, they may blame external factors for their lack of progress. This victim mentality not only limits their potential for growth, but also creates a negative energy that can impact those around them. Stoicism teaches that we must take responsibility for our own development, but when someone refuses to do so, it becomes clear that they are not contributing to a healthy, growth-oriented environment. People who refuse to grow often become comfortable with mediocrity. They may settle for less than they are capable of, content to remain in a state of complacency rather than striving for something greater. While they may not explicitly discourage you from pursuing your own growth, their lack of ambition can create an environment where mediocrity is the norm. Over time, this mindset can seep into your own thinking, making it harder to push yourself toward excellence. In relationships where growth is not valued, conversations about self-improvement can feel strained or even unwelcome. You may find that your efforts to discuss new ideas, goals, or strategies for personal development are met with indifference or resistance. This lack of engagement can be frustrating, as it leaves you feeling unsupported in your journey toward growth. Stoicism teaches that meaningful connections are built on mutual respect and a shared commitment to growth. But when one person refuses to evolve, the relationship becomes unbalanced. People who refuse to grow often avoid discomfort at all costs. They may shy away from difficult conversations, challenging tasks, or situations that require them to step outside their comfort zone. While this avoidance may bring temporary relief, it ultimately hinders their ability to develop resilience and adaptability. Stoicism teaches that growth comes from facing challenges head-on, not from avoiding them. Surrounding yourself with people who embrace growth is essential for your own development. When someone refuses to grow, it's often because they are afraid of failure. They may fear that by attempting to improve themselves, they will expose their own limitations or weaknesses. This fear of failure creates a barrier to growth, as they remain stuck in a cycle of avoidance rather than taking the necessary risks to evolve. Over time, their fear-based mindset can influence your own approach to growth, making it harder to take the bold steps needed for self-improvement. Stoicism teaches that growth requires courage and resilience, but those who refuse to grow often lack these qualities. They may view personal development as unnecessary or even impossible, believing that they are already good enough as they are. This mindset not only limits their own potential, but can also create tension in relationships, as you find yourself outgrowing the connection while they remain content with the status quo. In relationships where one person refuses to grow, there is often a lack of meaningful conversation. Instead of discussing new ideas, exploring personal growth, or challenging each other to improve, conversations may become superficial or repetitive. This lack of depth can be frustrating, as it leaves you feeling like the relationship is no longer contributing to your own development. Over time, this stagnation can lead to a sense of disconnect, as you realize that the relationship is no longer aligned with your values. People who refuse to grow may also resist change in other areas of their life. They may cling to old habits, routines, or ways of thinking, even when those patterns no longer serve them. This resistance to change creates a stagnant environment, one that stifles creativity and innovation. Stoicism teaches that we must be adaptable and open to growth, but when someone refuses to evolve, they create a barrier to progress. When someone refuses to grow, they may also resist feedback or constructive criticism. Instead of viewing feedback as an opportunity for self-improvement, they may become defensive or dismissive. This resistance makes it difficult to have honest conversations about growth, as they are unwilling to acknowledge their areas for improvement. Over time, this lack of openness can create a disconnect in the relationship, as you find yourself outgrowing the connection. In relationships where growth is not valued, it's common to feel a sense of frustration or dissatisfaction. You may find that your efforts to improve yourself or your circumstances are met with indifference or resistance. This lack of support can be discouraging, as it leaves you feeling like your growth is not valued or appreciated. Stoicism teaches that personal development is essential for living a meaningful life, and surrounding yourself with people who share this value is crucial for your own progress. People who refuse to grow often become stuck in a cycle of complacency. They may settle for less than they are capable of, content to remain in a state of mediocrity rather than striving for something greater. This mindset not only limits their own potential, but can also create a stagnant environment for those around them. Over time, this complacency can seep into your own thinking, making it harder to push yourself toward excellence. When someone refuses to grow, it can also create tension in relationships. As you continue to evolve and pursue your own development, you may find that the relationship no longer feels aligned with your values or goals. This misalignment can lead to feelings of frustration or resentment as you realize that the other person is not contributing to your own growth. Stoicism teaches that meaningful connections are built on mutual respect and a shared commitment to growth. In relationships where growth is not valued, it's common to feel a sense of isolation in your own journey. Instead of receiving support and encouragement, you may find yourself feeling like you're pursuing your goals alone. This isolation can be discouraging, as it leaves you feeling like your growth is not valued or appreciated. Over time, this lack of support can make it harder to stay motivated and focused on your own development. People who refuse to grow often avoid challenges or difficult situations, preferring to remain in their comfort zone. This avoidance creates a stagnant environment where innovation and progress are stifled. Instead of embracing challenges as opportunities for growth, they shy away from anything that requires effort or discomfort. Stoicism teaches that growth comes from facing challenges head-on, not from avoiding them. When someone refuses to grow, it can create a sense of frustration or dissatisfaction in relationships. You may find that your efforts to improve yourself or your circumstances are met with indifference or resistance. This lack of support can be discouraging, as it leaves you feeling like your growth is not valued or appreciated. Ultimately, surrounding yourself with people who refuse to grow can limit your own potential. Stoicism teaches that personal development is essential for living a meaningful life, and recognizing when someone's lack of growth is holding you back is crucial for your own progress. By distancing yourself from those who refuse to evolve, you create space for your own growth and development. As you've explored these 12 signs, it becomes clear that protecting your peace, purpose, and growth often requires difficult decisions. Cutting ties with toxic individuals is an act of self-respect, a step toward reclaiming your life and focusing on those who truly uplift you. Stoicism teaches us that the company we keep plays a critical role in our own journey of self-improvement. By letting go of those who drag us down, we make space for meaningful relationships and personal growth. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced any of these signs in a relationship? What did you do to protect your peace? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. And if you're committed to living a life of purpose and self-respect, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss more powerful insights on how to elevate your life and relationships.